it just took the longest time for it to sink in, and I just felt complete disbelief, like the world is a lie. New Zealand's not safe.
We wanted to ask locals in New Zealand to reflect on the mosque attacks in Christchurch on March 15th, 2019. Has this attack been forgotten? Could such a tragedy bring any positives? Did the attacks affect the non-Muslim community? 15 days, 15 videos, marking the 2-year anniversary of the day that shook New Zealand. This is what they had to say.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. When the attack happened, 15th of March, I was actually in my car listening to a radio station, Radio Live, and I was thinking, the first thing I heard was a lot of shooting and blood from a mosque. So I thought, oh, am I hearing right? Am I hearing right? And I was trying to sort of put the radio a bit louder so I could hear what they were saying. As I listened to it, it became clear that there was a shooting there at the mosque, that something happened there, and there's still a lot of people who were still stuck in there, and a lot of chaos happening. I couldn't wait to ring my husband Reza. I couldn't wait to get back to the mosque and then just be with him and just ask him what was going on.
I was at university as well with all these students in a computer lab, and it was actually really surreal because Christchurch, the attack was also like video captured, and it was really sad because there were some people actually watching the videos on the screens, and so I got to actually see what was going on for a glimpse second, and it was pretty horrific and terrifying.
When I heard about the Christchurch attack, I was back home in Belgium. Probably I learned it watching the news. So yeah, I just was kind of shocked because yes, you don't expect that from New Zealand, that you see. For us back in Belgium, New Zealand is like this tiny paradise far away from home where nothing bad happened. And then everyone was kind of surprised.
So it was a Friday. We started off at school. I was doing the first 2 classes, and then we decided to go into the climate strike change for Queenstown. The first when I heard about the terrorist attack was when I was taking the bus back to school, and I got a notification from the BBC on my phone, and it said Mosque attack. Before even finishing it, I just sort of liaised it off, thought it was in the States or something. Unfortunately, that's sort of the thing that goes through your head nowadays. And then I saw that it was in Christchurch, and I was just shocked. A gunman had actually entered and deliberately shot people inside worshipping. So I then rushed home, turned on the TV, and to the worst of everyone's fears that day, there was a shooting which 51 people lost their lives.
So I was actually in a meeting here at the hotel when I first heard about the attacks, and obviously broke my heart to hear of such a terrible atrocity at the end of the day about, I guess, such beautiful people. It's not something, I guess, particularly as an Australian, hearing that it was one of our countrymen that did it, did make me very upset, because we are a nation of multiculturalism, and as we are here in New Zealand as well. So to upset that I guess that relationship was very saddening.
When I hear about that, I feel like first I feel scared, and it was like very sad news when I hear about it, and it's like painful because I'm Muslim, and even I can feel the pain. I also lost my friend in Christchurch, and that's very sad news on that day. This kind of happened, never been in New Zealand, never been. So it's very sad for New Zealand.
I was at work, and my colleagues were asking me, oh, did you hear what happened? Like right after it happened. And because I was busy doing work, I said no, and they told me, and I couldn't process it at the moment because my head was in the workspace and I didn't want to believe it. So I kind of just put it to the side until I got home and heard more information and heard that the original target was the Heightened Mosque. And I was just so horrified because a lot of my Friends go to that mosque, and I also have friends that live in Christchurch who thankfully would have usually went to the mosque for the Friday prayer, but had other things going on. But it just took the longest time for it to sink in, and I just felt complete disbelief, like the world is a lie. New Zealand's not safe. So I just stayed at home and kind of dwelled in that feeling of disbelief and doubt. And then after a while, the fear sunk in, and was just very, very wary of the world outside.
I heard through a message that I should be watching the news, and I immediately turned it on to find an attack upon New Zealand happening down in Christchurch. Just couldn't believe what I was actually seeing on TV, that there was people being shot at here in New Zealand. And then I became worried because my father-in-law was here in Alamein. I was thinking, what's happening? Is there going to be more attacks? Lucky for myself, I didn't have a direct connection, but I felt a very strong pain that my fellow man had been attacked. During this period, I get myself glued to looking for more information what was happening. I literally almost couldn't take my eyes off the TV. We, as a family, were sitting watching the whole time until we knew that he had actually been apprehended and that the attack had ended.
I was in Dunedin during the shooting, and I was in hospital at that time. One of my family members, my auntie, was having her surgery. Then me and my cousin, we felt like everybody was staring at us, and we weren't sure why, because we didn't know what was going on. Soon after, we found out that there had been a shooting going on in Christchurch Mosque. So it felt really devastating. In a place like New Zealand, we wouldn't really expect anything like that to happen. We didn't feel comfortable going outside. We'll get stares quite a lot, and I just didn't feel like I was in the right place.
It's the day that we'll never forget. I remember exactly where I was. We finished Jum'ah in our small mosque in Wellington, went back to my office in town. I got a message from my wife, and she said, watch the news. That's all she said. And guess what? When Muslim being told watch the news, it means another attack, another, terrorist attack. And we have this already brainwashed that we expect is one of our color. Our people have done something horrible. Yeah, I was actually thrown in the deep end on that day because my volunteering job as an imam and community elders and leader, I was getting phone calls from the Member of Parliament, from the media, TV3, TV1, politicians, community themselves, and I was just, I was too busy even to just for the news to sink in. I was just too busy trying to comfort other people and just assure them that this is just a one-off. It's not as the media is trying to portray. It's not massive attack or coordinated attack as they try to convince us.
We have in the Defence Force status levels of readiness, and following the Christchurch Mosque attack, which was only less than an hour beforehand, the Defence Force had gone to its highest level of readiness. So when I returned from Jum'ah prayers at Brandon Street, I went to walk into the building, and although they have security in the building, but it had raised itself to a pretty high level. I was even questioned of what I was doing in the building, and that security was very high. I went up to my desk, and there was a message on the screen of my computer, also advising me of the status level had been raised to its highest, and I was trying to think, what's going on? And I went over to the TV and they had a breaking news bulletin on at the time. Jacinda Ardern was in New Plymouth. And they needed to task an Air Force aircraft to go to New Plymouth and take her to direct to Christchurch. I went and saw my boss and I said, I think I need to go home because I'm not capable of working.
I remember I was at like this talk at my high school and the mayor was speaking and he just mentioned in like the middle of a speech like, oh, I've just heard something about the shootings in Christchurch. And I remember my mum was in Christchurch, so I was just like, kind of, you know, like on edge. I was like waiting till I could like, till the talk could finish so I could call her. And then I called her and she's like, oh yeah, there's been like some shootings and stuff. And this was like kind of as it was playing out almost, or like just afterwards, and like it was starting to hit the news and stuff. And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. We're like, so then I was like getting a lift into town with my friend from high school. And I was sat in the like middle of the back row, and then my friend's dad was sat in the passenger seat, and he got sent the video, and he started watching the video, and I like saw over his shoulders like bits of it, and I was just, I literally just got chills. It was like no one was really speaking. I was just kind of sat there like I had no idea what was going on. I was going into town for my dance class, which was held in the church, like a church hall, which on Fridays doubles as like a mosque, and so there was like, I just remember halfway through my dance class, like these police officers covered in like protective gear came out like and guarded the entrances with like the biggest guns I've ever seen in my life. And like we were all sat there just trying to process what had just happened. Like we didn't do any dancing that day. Like no one was really talking either. We were just kind of like avidly watching, like reading the news. Like none of us could really process what was going on. And I remember just like feeling so just like distraught almost. Like I don't know. It was just such a hard emotion to process because like these things happen in the news all the time, but for it to be happening like on our own like home turf and stuff like that was just like insane. Just hit so close to home.
I think I was in the middle of a class. I think it was my last class before going to school, and I just got a whole bunch of notifications for this one group chat saying, oh, have you guys heard what happened in Christchurch and stuff like that? And after reading it, honestly, I'd never even think something like this would happen in New Zealand. So initially I didn't react. It was only up until when I was on the bus home, and on the way it passed through like a mosque. When we passed the mosque, there was a bunch of flowers. I mean, the whole door was like full of flowers, full of messages and stuff like that. And I think from then I started like realizing, or just like grasping everything that just happened. And yeah, I just broke down after that, yeah.
I was at work and I was told by my workmate, I think he saw it on Facebook somewhere. And then how I felt at that time, I was really shocked. I was really shocked because I was meant to be at the mosque on that time, on that day. And next thing came to my mind was the safety of my family members and the wider Muslim communities.
I was at my home and I got a call from India from one of my cousins saying that there's been an attack in a Muslim, in the mosque, and I wasn't aware of that, so I Googled and I could see that there was an attack has happened, and there was news coming out every 10-15 minutes, and I wasn't sure it really happened in New Zealand. I was in a state of shock. I said that'll never happen in New Zealand. And then when I got the confirmation that it did happen, I was crying. I was in tears, and I had to go pick up my kids. It was nearly the end of school time, and I went and brought them back home. And my husband wasn't there. He was out of town. I think he's gone to Wellington, and I was so scared for him. And when he came back home after 2 days, like we were looking at each other's face and we was in a state of, I don't know whether shock or feeling bad for the families because they had come with lots of hopes and dreams and having their family, and they must have had big dreams, and just to for your dear family to be taken away, like it could be a husband or brother or father. I can imagine their plight because I can see my kids in front of me and they're having their father and mother with them. Just imagine your parents are like deprived of all the love that, yeah. So it must be very hard for their families. And it's not just being a Muslim, it's the same for any human being, irrespective of their religion, culture, caste or creed. So I think it's a very bad state.